Excuses, they tend to be subjective and self-serving. They're often used to avoid taking responsibility and accountability for your actions or your failures. Hello and welcome to the Empress Podcast. I am your host, Jessica, known in the online space as Jess the Empress. I started this podcast to help you be present with yourself, cope with chaos, and simplify your life. I do this by combining psychology, behavioral science, and the tarot. I have a background in mental health, specifically a master's in clinical social work from USC, and I'm a professional tarot reader. So get ready to have a nurturing, creative, and empowering experience with me as we use practical magic. Hey love, before we get to today's episode, I want to ask you to rate and review my podcast. Giving me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts would mean the world to me. I love knowing who's listening and what everyone is getting from the episode, so please take a moment of your time to share your thoughts, and I look forward to reading your reviews soon. Hey kings and queens, how are you? Are you good? I hope you are. I hope you're well. This episode, we are going to get into how to turn excuses into reasons. But I want to kick off by getting us clear around what is an excuse and what is a reason. Unfortunately, I see a lot of people out here confused, and I think the best thing to do is bring clarity so that way you know when you're making excuses with yourself, how to call yourself on it, with love and with compassion. But also, this will make you a better bullshit detector for when someone else inevitably tries to hit you with some excuse and make you feel like it's a reason why they can't do something. And I think it's a good skill to have. So both excuses and reasons, they're an explanation, right? We give these for why something happened or why we couldn't do certain things, but there are differences between the two. Before we get into the differences, I want to ask you 3 questions. And these 3 questions will kind of guide you and give you a little indicator of where we're going. Question 1. Is the justification that you're presenting rooted in objective reality and external factors? Or is it primarily driven by an internal resistance and avoidance? Okay. Question number 2. Does the explanation you're giving hold true across all different types of situations? Or is it specific to this particular instance? And then 3, does the example propel you towards growth and action? Or does it serve as a barrier to your progress and to your change? These are just 3 things that any of us need to consider when we're noticing ourselves either having reasons or excuses. Again, being able to know the difference is important. And there's going to be a lot of feelings that we have around either one of these things. We might be really frustrated. We might have some shame, some regret. But I think that the best way towards more positive emotions, and I'm not one of those people to really say like emotions are positive or negative, but in this instance, we're going to use frustration, shame, and regret as like a lower emotion, not negative, but like lower. When we're in that, we can understand, okay, this is just a simple moment in time of our feelings. We want to move into, again, like the more positive or higher emotions, which are like determination, empowerment, self-awareness. But we can't usually get to those higher feelings or those lighter, more positive feelings until we feel a lot of frustration around something, until we have like shame of being like, oh my God, like, oh, what the heck? Or regret of like, damn, I just missed all these opportunities. I didn't do shit with my time. I'm really regretting this. But then we get to say, okay, what is my plan? What do I want to do? We move into self-awareness, right? We then feel empowered to take action, and then we use our spirit of willpower, our determinate drive to go do the things that we know are actually in alignment. So let's talk about the excuses, okay? Again, when we're talking about how to in anything, I want to set a strong foundation of understanding. I think it's important. So excuses. The nature is important here to kind of factor in. Excuses, they tend to be subjective and self-serving. They're often used to avoid taking responsibility and accountability for your actions or your failures. Okay? You're like, oh, I don't know, it just happened, without actually saying, oh, maybe I contributed to this like not going the way I wanted it to. Blame shifting. Excuses frequently involve shifting the blame onto external factors or circumstances like other people, good or bad luck, uncontrollable events, and things like that. No, lack of ownership. We see this a lot in excuses. People making excuses often show a reluctance to admit fault, acknowledge their contribution to a situation. Like I said, they may downplay their role or deny responsibility altogether. And so I'm pretty sure as we are going to continue getting into this, you're probably like, oh my God, I know a person who does this every single time I confront them with X, Y, or Z. They shift the blame. They say, okay, it's all these other reasons why, this happened. Those are excuses. Avoidance is another part of excuses because they're typically like avoiding a negative consequence or criticism or judgment. They might be employed as a defense mechanism to protect, the ego, your image, reputation, the whole what do other people think of me type thing. But really, they're avoiding doing something that they probably need to do. And they're just, again, defaulting to this excuse of like, oh, I don't want to make this person think something negative about me. It's like, okay, well, you can't control what other people think. And when you're a good person at the core and you have good people around you, they're not going to be like judging you, Also, excuses don't have any validity. They lack a lot of factual and logical support, and they can be easily disproven or dismissed when you critically analyze and scrutinize them. So don't be afraid to put a bunch of holes in your own excuses, but then also this makes you sharper when other people are bringing excuses to the table, right? For their behavior, their attitude, or whatever. Now, reasons, they're different. Reasons, objectivity. They aim to provide factual and logical explanations for the particular action, decision, or outcome. They focus on presenting a clear cause and effect relationship. So you can kind of sit down and you can map it out and say like, okay, I did this thing. Here's what I was thinking and feeling. This is why I made this decision. And it resulted in this outcome. I took this amount of evidence or this amount of data and did this with it. And then this is what I got, right? The result is what it is. But, there's a lot of like ownership that also goes into what a reason is. There's accountability. People are offering, and they're like, this is like, okay, this is a time to take ownership of my actions, of my, the steps that I did, my choices, right? So accountability, they are acknowledging the role and they're recognizing how their decisions contributed to the situation. They're not avoiding. All the external factors, sometimes, there are things out of our control, but these reasons, they involve external circumstances. They don't solely rely on them. That's the difference between a reason and an excuse. Again, the excuses are always like externally blaming what was going on at the time. For the external factors regarding reasons are considering different factors, but it also includes personal choice, available information, time constraints or other constraints, and all those other like relevant elements. There's a reason why it didn't work out. Oh, my boss came up to me, put this on my desk. I literally could not get out of it. That is the reason why I'm late, or that is the reason why I could not show up, right? There was a deadline. The deadline got moved up. I had to do my job. Okay, that's good enough reason. You can feel however you feel. You know what I mean? Like, or if you couldn't go to this event or someone couldn't make it to the event that you were supposed to go to together, of course, you're going to have your feelings. But reasons are not the same as excuses. Transparency. Reasons prioritize honesty and transparency. Y'all, this is key. They strive to provide a comprehensive and accurate account of the situation. This allows other people around to understand the underlying factors and motivations. This is so important. Again, notice when someone is like shifting blame. Notice when you are shifting blame, as opposed to being really honest with yourself about why, things were done or not done, whatever. And then lastly is validity. Reasons are based on factual evidence, rational thinking, and logical connections, okay? They can withstand what? Examination, scrutiny, analyzing. Plus, they're open to discussion and analysis. So the biggest difference, excuses involve shifting blame, avoiding responsibility, and they lack validity. Reasons are about ownership, providing objective explanations, and being transparent. So just notice when you are sitting down with yourself about why you may or may not have done some things and which side you're leaning on. Are you avoiding being objective? Are you moving the blame around, right? Or are you literally looking at the facts and being like, okay, this is what I did. This is what I didn't do. This is what I have to work with. This is what I could do better. And speaking of doing better, now we're going to move into the how to turn your excuses into reasons. So, talking about self-awareness, talking about knowing when we're not doing our best, I would just first want to say, I love you. You're amazing. Don't beat yourself up. Compassion is used in every step of the way, because guess what? Excuses are easy and we all do it because life is hard. Okay? Like it's no big deal. It's fine. And what you're doing, confronting an excuse, even looking at where you might be making excuses and not knowing it, this is amazing work. So many people don't do this. So I just want to congratulate you if you're even thinking about doing this, because that is a thought that a lot of people don't even allow in their own head. So you're great. We got this. Here we go. Identifying the excuse. So take a deep dive into your thoughts, into your actions, pinpoint the excuses that you frequently use. Okay, I got him. You got him. We all got him. It's fine. Are you blaming a lack of time, resources, or fear? Whatever, right? Whatever pops up. Just recognize the pattern, because that's what's holding you back. It's the pattern, okay? No big deal, because we're going to keep moving forward, because we're going to challenge the excuse. But you can't challenge it if you don't see it. Much like the weeks prior, I've been talking about on Instagram, radical acceptance. If we're not looking at something, then we cannot change it. We will always be held hostage because we're not being real with ourselves. So we need to identify the excuse, and then we're going to challenge it. Let's play devil's advocate. We're going to scrutinize the validity of the excuse. Is there a genuine barrier or a convenient escape route? Question the legitimacy of the excuse and refuse to accept it at face value. Don't just be like, oh yeah, well, I guess I can't go out because it's raining. I guess I can't go on my hot girl walks because it's raining. I mean, is that 100% true? Like, there's nothing else that could happen here? Seek alternative perspectives. This is number 3 of how to turn excuses into reasons. Expand your viewpoint. Consider different angles and possibilities. Are there creative solutions, alternative approaches that you've never explored before? I think this is important. Talking to other people, embrace a growth mindset and open yourself up to new ideas. We're all very guilty of thinking about things in the same way. It's just the brain's default. So there's, again, nothing like wrong or bad about doing that. But what we get from talking about things with other people is a change in perspective. And when we allow other people's perspectives in, we can then actually get closer to our goals, because we're seeing things in ways that we haven't thought of before. Like, I love that. Reframe as reasons. We're going to shift the focus from limitations to possibilities. Don't we love that? Find intrinsic motivations and external factors that are going to support your goals. Emphasize the benefits of taking action. Y'all know I'm an action-based woman. I love action over anything. Like, there's nothing worse to me than non-action. I mean, obviously, like, there are times when it's appropriate to not do something, but I'm just saying in general, I would rather be doing something. I'd rather be acting on my goals than not. You know what I mean? So, we're going to reframe. No limitations, all possibilities. Intrinsic motivations, the things that drive you from an internal sense, and then the external factors, like, you know, again, well, that's self-explanatory, right? I think. But a combination of those things will help you, you know, get to step in. But you have to actually do something. You can't just like think about it. I heard a quote recently. It's like your goals won't work unless you do. Okay, so here we go into taking action. Obviously, this is a crucial step, so don't get all the way this far to not do anything. Convert your newfound reasons into actionable steps. You're going to create a plan, set achievable goals, and commit to consistent effort. Consistency, not perfection. Perfection is not real. We have to break the cycle of excuse making because that's the only thing that's going to propel you forward, okay? It's breaking the cycle. How do you break the cycle? You create an action plan. The goals that you have within your action plan, they're reasonable. They have a time on them. You know what I mean? It's a due date type of thing. You're giving yourself a better way of seeing what you need to be doing, okay? This just is a higher level of accountability for all my high achiever babes out there. Just a way to put yourself onto a new level. And I know that's what y'all are looking for. So we need to make sure we set ourselves up for that, you know? And then we also want to stay accountable. You know, making this and doing it is fine, but we're going to struggle. We're going to have days where we don't want to show up. We're going to have days where our feelings are taking over our rational thoughts. And it's like, how much do we want to put on ourselves when we might be able to also have a support system in place? So holding ourselves accountable also means bringing other people in to help us, you know, monitor our actions, track the achievements. Obviously, we want to acknowledge all the positive changes that have been happening as a result of us taking action and following our new plan. But we want to celebrate the victories along the way. And it's so fun to do it on your own. But I think it's sometimes like some of these things are even sweeter with other people. And so letting other people know that this is what you're doing and this is how, you know, you need them to show up for you as an accountability buddy or, you know, like a motivating friend or whatever is going to be, I think, just a crucial part in holding ourselves accountable and taking action, right? Like being in the reason energy as opposed to the excuses energy. So I really hope that this episode does serve everyone. I feel like it moved fairly quickly, even though my script is like pretty long. It seems longer than it took to say, but I noticed again with a lot of my clients, there's just a lot of excuses. And again, we're not wrong for having our excuses. They keep us safe, right? Again, when we go back to some of those feelings like shame, fear, regret, frustration, we can get stuck in those for a really long time. And we just have to say, well, what are we learning from these feelings? And how can we shift? How can we continue to focus on what we want with a better attitude, go have that growth mindset, and accomplish what we feel like we're here to accomplish without falling victim to excuses? But just remember, like, excuses are easy, but we get better at calling them out when we know what they are, you know, when we know the purpose that they serve. It just serves to keep us comfortable. And as you know, our next level doesn't happen within our current comfort zone. It happens when we get out of our current comfort zone. So excuses, you know, we just want to be comfortable, and there's no shame in that at all whatsoever. But we're just not going to get to where we want to go by doing the same stuff. We're growing and we can't help it. And we just need to, have that higher level of awareness on all of our own bullshit or the same bullshit that other people want to give us, especially to all my besties out here who are dating. And when the person that you're vetting is just coming up with a bunch of excuses, you are going to be so much better equipped in this after this episode, like right now, to call them out on it, or at least to know like, this person is making excuses that will tell you something about their character, and that will let you know how far you do or don't want to entertain them in your life anymore. You want to look for people that are giving you reasons and not excuses. And you want to make sure that you're a person that is aware of reasons and not excuses. Okay? I love you. I hope that this serves you. Don't hesitate to give me a 5-star review. Always appreciated. Send me a message on Instagram at Jess_the_Empress. You can leave notes in the comments, or also at the Empress Podcast on Instagram as well. Feel free to send me some messages there. I love all of you, and I will talk with you soon.